If you've ever believed family is your unwavering support, my story might make you reconsider. My younger sister called me and my son freeloaders while living in the very house I paid for. And guess what? Did I put up with it, or did I teach her a lesson? Follow my journey and share your advice. A year ago, I stood in front of my childhood home, where I was born and raised. The gray sky mirrored my heavy heart. It had been 15 years since I last set foot here, and if not for my mother's urgent call, I'd never have returned. My name is Elizabeth. I'm 34, and I'm a creative director at an advertising agency in Seattle. I have a 10-year-old son, Jacob, who is my entire world. I remember that fateful Saturday when my mother called, her voice trembling. "You need to come home immediately. The family's in serious trouble." But the family she spoke of never truly included me. For as long as I can recall, only one person mattered in that house, my younger sister Caitlin. The memory of the day I left home is still vivid. I was 19, clutching an acceptance letter from the University of California, Los Angeles, when my parents called me into the living room and dropped the bombshell. "We used your entire college fund to invest in Caitlin." I stood there, stunned. "Invest?" I choked out. My mother nodded, as if it were the most natural thing. "Caitlin has a gift for the arts. We enrolled her in a prestigious academy. She needs that money to chase her dream." "Caitlin's dream? What about mine?" "You can take out student loans, Elizabeth," my mother said, trying to make me understand. "This opportunity for Caitlin is once in a lifetime." So on a sweltering summer night, I left home with nothing but an old suitcase, a few clothes, and the little money I'd saved from high school odd jobs. No one saw me off, not a word of concern. My parents didn't give me a dime, no secret check, no hidden savings to help me start anew. They left me with occasional phone calls, just enough to keep up appearances. "Are you doing okay?" my mother asked one Tuesday afternoon, 2 months after I'd left. For a moment, I wanted to believe she cared, but as soon as I answered, her tone turned indifferent. "Good, just checking. Oh, by the way, Caitlin's been so busy. She was just accepted by a renowned professor." I went silent. No words of encouragement. No questions about how I was managing or if I had enough to eat. Just Caitlin, Caitlin, and more Caitlin. Every call after was the same, a formality to ease their guilt. Looking back at my college years, I remember juggling school and work, constantly moving between classes and shifts. By day, I was a dedicated student. By night, a barista at a small coffee shop, sometimes picking up extra hours at a convenience store to cover rent. There were nights I slept at work because I couldn't afford my room, days I survived on expired bread, choosing between tuition and food. I struggled, broke down, cried through long, lonely nights, but I never looked back. Every time exhaustion tempted me to quit, I recalled my parents' indifferent faces when they told me my dreams mattered less than Caitlin's. That fueled me to keep going. After 4 years of balancing school and work, I graduated with honors and landed a stable job at a major advertising firm in Seattle. For the first time, I didn't worry about rent or count every penny at the grocery store. I didn't need extra night shifts to survive. I thought my parents might be proud, but they didn't care about my journey. They only cared about one thing. I had money now. It started with casual holiday messages. "Are you coming home for Christmas? We're planning a big party. You'd love to contribute a little, right? Thanksgiving's coming up. Could you order a fine china set? I saw a beautiful one online, just $500. Your dad's birthday is soon. Don't you want to get him a new watch? You know how he loves Rolex." Every invitation came with a hint for an expensive gift. Not one question about my life, just money. I wasn't surprised, but I declined every request. "I'm busy with work, can't make it." "Go ahead and order that gift for Dad. Send the bill to Caitlin. She's always been the priority. I didn't care what they thought. They abandoned me first. I owed them nothing. Still, I'm not ungrateful. Though I could never forgive them, I sent small amounts on their birthdays. $2,000, not out of duty, but to keep my conscience clear. Birthday money for Dad. Hope you use it wisely. No warm wishes, no card, just a cold, impersonal bank transfer. I didn't expect thanks, and they never offered it. 2 years after graduating, I married a colleague. Witty, charming, seemingly responsible. We built a small family and Jacob was born. But marriage isn't simple. Sleepless nights soothing a crying baby, arguments over chores, silent moments with nothing left to say. I tried, but one day I found he was cheating. I didn't cry or ask questions. I packed his things, left them by the door, and said calmly, "Leave now, or I'll throw it all out the window." We divorced after 3 years. He remained a responsible father, contributing financially for Jacob each month, and that was enough for me. After everything, I became a strong woman, not by choice, but because life left me none. I stopped believing in romance, no dating, no love, no search for someone to fill a void. Jacob was my everything. Every morning I took him to school. Every night I read him bedtime stories. We watched movies, cooked together on weekends, or lounged on the sofa, savoring the peace I'd fought so hard for. After 7 years of hard work, I was promoted to creative director, a prestigious role with a $300,000 annual salary. With it, I bought a high-end apartment in downtown Seattle, spacious, secure, fully equipped, a true home for Jacob and me. Everything had finally fallen into place. A great job, a stable life, and most importantly, Jacob, the only person I truly cared about. But a year ago, a phone call changed everything. "Come home right away. Your father's in the hospital. Our family's in serious trouble." My mother's voice trembled, and I heard real fear. I gripped my phone, my mind racing. My first instinct was to ignore it. I was used to being remembered only when they needed something, but then I thought, no matter what, he's still my father. I'd spent my youth running from them, trying to bury the pain. But what if this was the last chance? If I didn't go, would I regret it forever? I wasn't returning for them. I was doing it for myself, to avoid the guilt of not doing what's right. The next afternoon, after a long drive, I arrived. My mother had said my father was discharged from the hospital. When I pulled up, she opened the door, her eyes red and swollen. She looked older than I remembered, maybe from time or the weight of her choices. Inside, my father sat in his usual living room chair, back hunched, hair more silver than 15 years ago. I stepped in, Jacob trailing silently, taking it all in. My mother's gaze skipped past me, landing on him. That's when she noticed him, and so did my father, seeing something beyond themselves for the first time since I walked in. "Oh my gosh!" my mother gasped, covering her mouth, her voice shaky. My father blinked rapidly, as if he couldn't believe it. Jacob, my son, was the grandson they'd never asked about or tried to meet. He stood there, his green eyes like mine, wavy brown hair slightly messy, his small hand clutching my shirt. "Jacob, right?" my mother said, her voice suddenly softer, almost unfamiliar. Jacob nodded politely but cautiously. Then, like a switch flipped, my parents transformed. The people who'd manipulated me for money became picture-perfect grandparents. "You've grown so much. My goodness, he looks so smart." My mother beamed, reaching as if to touch him. My father nodded approvingly. "He looks like Elizabeth when she was little, but taller." "Do you like sports, kiddo? I could teach you golf." I stood watching their performance. 30 seconds ago, they didn't care about me, but now, seeing Jacob, they rushed to show affection, as if they hadn't ignored me for years. After a few minutes fawning over Jacob, my mother invited me to sit. I didn't move, arms crossed. "Can we skip the act and get to the point?" I asked flatly. She bit her lip, eyes welling up. The house is about to be repossessed by the bank, Elizabeth. We need help. I wasn't surprised. I'd guessed the real reason the moment she called. I waited, and of course the familiar name followed. Caitlin took out a huge loan to invest in her fashion boutique, but it failed, and she can't pay it back. We mortgaged the house to help her, and now the bank's seizing it. I laughed. Caitlin, always Caitlin. She messed up, my parents rushed to fix it, and now they dragged me in to clean up. I turned to my father, who'd been silent. And now you want me to pay off her debt? He nodded, shameless. You have a great job, Elizabeth. Just help a little so the family doesn't lose the house. I scoffed. What family? They glanced at each other, silent, because they knew the truth. They'd never treated me like family. I wasn't shocked, but one thing was certain. I wasn't the weak, helpless girl I'd been 15 years ago. I crossed my arms, my voice calm but cold. How much is the debt? They hesitated, as if unprepared for the question. My mother swallowed hard. Around $250,000, but if we pay $150,000 up front, the bank might extend the deadline. I laughed in disbelief. $150,000? You seriously think I'll pull out that kind of money to save this house? My father sighed. Elizabeth, $150,000 isn't much for you. I clenched my fists, anger rising, but before I could respond, the door swung open. Caitlin walked in, raising an eyebrow, her expression dripping with mockery. Oh, you showed up to play the hero? I exhaled sharply. No, I came to see how often they'd sacrifice me for you. Caitlin scoffed, folding her arms, her voice cutting. You always love playing the victim, don't you? I stared, fury simmering. Caitlin, the spoiled sister who'd never known hardship, who took everything as her due. My parents stole my future for her, and now she stood here, remorseless, expecting me to bail her out again. I took a deep breath, looked at my parents and Caitlin, and spoke clearly, each word deliberate. I need time to think. I'll give you my answer in 3 days. My mother sighed in relief, as if a weight had lifted. My father nodded, his eyes betraying anticipation. Caitlin rolled her eyes, smirking. Still putting on a show. We all know you'll come back with your wallet open. I didn't react. No need. Without a word, I took Jacob's hand and left a room thick with expectations and calculations. On the drive back, Jacob spoke first, his voice soft with concern. Mom, are you okay? I gave him a reassuring smile, squeezing his hand. I'm okay, Jacob. I just need to think some things through. He nodded, not pressing, but I knew he felt my tension. When I got home, I called Daniel, a close college friend now a real estate attorney. I skipped pleasantries. Daniel, I need advice. My parents are about to lose their house, and they expect me to bail them out. He let out an amused laugh, sarcastic. So, after all these years, they suddenly remember you exist? I sighed, exhaustion in my voice. Exactly. And the ridiculous part? They act like my help is a given. Daniel paused, then asked bluntly, Elizabeth, are you seriously considering helping them? I bit my lip, thinking. I don't want to help Caitlin, but I can't completely turn my back on my parents. They're still the ones who gave me life. He sighed. I have a suggestion, if you want to help while keeping it fair. I narrowed my eyes. Go on. He spoke deliberately. Buy the house outright. Put it in your name. Let them live there, but not for free. Set a clear agreement. If they repay the $250,000 in full, the house is theirs again. If not, it stays yours. I leaned back, mulling it over. This wouldn't just give my parents a place to stay, it would force them to take responsibility. More importantly, it ensured Caitlin couldn't drag me down again. I took a deep breath. I like this plan. Do it. Daniel chuckled. You've always been the rational one, Elizabeth. I'll handle the paperwork. I hung up, staring out the window. In 3 days, I'd return, but this time, on my terms. 3 days later, I went back to my childhood home with Daniel. I didn't come empty-handed. I brought a contract to bind everything legally. My parents opened the door, their faces a mix of worry and hope, convinced I'd offer a big check with no strings. They were wrong. Daniel and I sat down, and I placed the contract on the table, speaking clearly. I'll buy this house and hold legal ownership. You can live here as tenants. To regain ownership, you must pay back $250,000 within 5 years. If not, the house is mine. And Caitlin, I turned to her, my voice like steel. You won't be entitled to a single cent. Silence. My parents were stunned, as if they couldn't believe it. My mother burst into tears. Elizabeth, how could you do this to your parents? My father stayed quiet, assessing. But Caitlin didn't hold back. Are you insane? She shrieked, eyes blazing. You're making Mom and Dad pay to live in their own home? What kind of daughter does that? You're ungrateful. I stood, picking up the contract. All right, then forget it. My voice was ice as I turned to the door. Panic set in. Wait, Elizabeth! My father's voice was sharp, urgent. I paused, glancing back with a challenge in my eyes. My mother wiped her tears, nodding quickly. We accept your terms. I smirked inwardly. I knew they would. Daniel finalized the paperwork, and 2 weeks later the house was legally mine. My parents gradually accepted reality, stopping attempts to renegotiate, realizing I wouldn't budge. But Caitlin refused to let go. I knew she wouldn't give up easily, but I didn't expect her to sink so low. 2 days later, on a Sunday, my phone buzzed. Elizabeth, have you seen Facebook? A coworker texted. Are you okay? Everyone's talking about you. From an old friend. I frowned and opened Facebook. Caitlin's post hit me first, with an old photo of me and Jacob. Caitlin Thompson. It's heartbreaking to have a sister with no shame. A single mother, abandoned by her husband, now exploiting her parents for profit. She makes big money but forces our elderly parents to pay rent. Not surprising. She's always been a leech, selfish since childhood, jealous of me. Now she's pressured our parents into signing over the house and kicked me out of my only home. I wonder when she'll stop playing the victim, since she's the worst manipulator. Hundreds of comments followed from people clueless about the truth. What kind of sister does this? Poor Caitlin. She must be heartbroken. Can't believe someone would treat their parents like that over money. I laughed, but it wasn't amusement. Caitlin had made a huge mistake. She didn't just lie about me. She dragged Jacob into it. And that was unforgivable. I found Jacob at the dining table, uneasy. Mom, my friend messaged me. They saw Aunt Caitlin's post. His voice grew quieter. I clenched my fists, sitting across from him, forcing calm. Jacob, don't worry. I'll handle this. He nodded, but I saw sadness in his eyes. I called Daniel immediately. He answered on the second ring. Elizabeth, what's going on? I need you to send a legal notice now, I said, voice cold. What did Caitlin do? I clenched my jaw. She defamed me online and dragged Jacob into it. Daniel's tone turned serious. That's bad. I'll draft a demand for her to take down the post immediately with a warning. If she keeps spreading lies, she'll face consequences. Good, I said, then added, I want her out of my house in 2 days. Daniel wasn't surprised. I figured this was coming. I'll handle the paperwork, but brace for theatrics. I let out a dry laugh. You know me. I'm not afraid of a fight. That afternoon, Daniel and I drove to my parents' house. The sun was up, but inside me it felt like the calm before a storm. Daniel glanced at me in the rearview mirror. You sure you want to handle this in person? I want to look her in the eye when I throw her out, I replied coldly. He nodded. She won't leave quietly. I smirked, eyes on the road. I'm counting on it. At 4 in the afternoon, we arrived. I stepped out, Daniel beside me, holding legal documents. My parents stood at the door, tense. Caitlin lounged on the sofa, legs crossed, phone in hand, acting unbothered. Daniel cleared his throat. Caitlin Thompson, I'm Elizabeth's legal representative. Under the property ownership terms, you no longer have the right to reside here. You have 48 hours to vacate or will proceed with eviction. Caitlin raised an eyebrow, set her phone down, and laughed dryly. Oh, you're serious? She scoffed, arms crossed. I stepped forward, gaze sharp. Do I look like I'm joking? She locked eyes with me, then spat. You think you're so powerful. You and your little brat are just leeches, a pathetic woman abandoned by her husband, pretending to be strong but still a miserable failure. Without hesitation, I slapped her across the face. The sound echoed. Caitlin's eyes widened, clutching her cheek, shocked. She'd never seen me do that. The room fell silent. My parents stood frozen, as if knowing Caitlin had crossed a line, but not daring to intervene. I stepped closer, my voice so cold it surprised me. Insult me all you want, Caitlin, but if you ever drag my son into this again, I promise it won't just be a slap. She clenched her fists, jaw tight with rage. You'll regret this, she growled, eyes burning. I laughed, low and humorless. No, Caitlin. For the first time, I regret nothing. Daniel stepped forward, placing a document before her. Sign this to acknowledge your eviction notice or expect a court summons next week. Caitlin turned to our parents, desperate. Mom, Dad, you can't let her do this. They lowered their heads, silent. Realizing no one was on her side, she snatched the pen, signed with force that nearly tore the paper, threw it on the table, grabbed her suitcase, and stormed out to the door. She turned back, eyes full of fury. You'll pay for this. I shrugged, meeting her glare. Try me. The door slammed shut. Caitlin was gone. A year has passed since Caitlin left my life, and things are so much better. My parents still live in the house I bought for $250,000. I didn't leave them homeless or charge rent. But there are boundaries. Once a month, I take Jacob to visit, wanting him to have a relationship with his grandparents, even if my bond with them is fractured. I send them $2,000 monthly for bills and expenses, not out of deep affection, but because they gave me life. And I don't want regrets later. Caitlin, after leaving, rents a small apartment. No more safety net or privileges. I heard she's a sales clerk at a convenience store. Not a bad job, but not the life she thought she was destined for. Sometimes my parents mention her, sighing. Elizabeth, Caitlin's still young. She just made mistakes, my mother said once during a visit with Jacob. I set my tea down, looked her in the eyes, and said coldly, if you mention Caitlin again, you can leave this house. Silence. They knew I wasn't joking. They'd lost too much when I took control. And they understood one thing. If they wanted my support, Caitlin was off limits. Was I too harsh? I don't know. Some might say I should be more forgiving, welcome Caitlin back, be open-hearted with my family. But to me, family isn't guaranteed by blood. It's built on respect and genuine love. My parents chose Caitlin over me time and again, and now I choose Jacob. I choose myself. What about you? Did I do the right thing by keeping my distance from my parents and cutting Caitlin off completely? Or should I have given them another chance? Let me know your thoughts. Dear friends, we're thrilled to have you with us. Get ready for a whirlwind of emotions, unexpected twists, and gripping stories. New adventures drop every single day, packed with tension, mystery, and excitement. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. This channel is made for you, and the most thrilling moments are still to come.